If you don't like the weather here, wait 5 minutes. That saying, or a variation of that saying, is spoken proudly by locals, just about everywhere. And I mean everywhere. If one place were to claim to be the home of this saying, it should be the Black Hills region of South Dakota. On a winter day in 1943, not only did this saying actually come true, saying the weather changed in 5 minutes would be an understatement. During the 7 o'clock hour on January 22nd, 1943, in Spearfish, South Dakota, people were preparing to head out to work and school. They were preparing to head out into a rather cold morning with temperatures just below zero. Many were not prepared for the incredible roller coaster ride they were about to go on. That winter day saw an incredible 116-degree temperature change. At 7:30 a.m. on January 22nd, the temperature was a brisk -4 degrees. It had been very cold leading up to this event, as an Arctic blast of air swept through the area just 2 days prior. However, warmer Pacific air was building and moving toward the area. The Arctic and warm air masses were separated by a strong frontal boundary that laid on top of the Black Hills. To the west, temperatures were climbing towards 60. To the east, they were staying around zero. This boundary began to move back and forth like tidal waters. The boundary moved toward the east, causing the warm air to crash down from the higher elevations of the hills and right into Spearfish. At 7:32 a.m., the temperature hit the 45-degree mark. In just 2 minutes, the temperature rose 49 degrees. Driving through the boundary proved to be an adventure. Cedric Barnes, who wrote a letter to a newspaper, said that when he left his house in the morning, it was below zero. About halfway through his drive, his windshield flash frosted and he nearly drove into a ditch. By the time he got out of his car to clear his windshield, the boundary had rushed north, and he said it felt like a warm spring day. About an hour later, just after 9 a.m., he was driving back the other way, and again his windshield flash frosted during the drive. The temperature had plummeted. He stopped and found he was only 10 feet from where he had stopped before. The temperature in Spearfish rose to a max of 54 degrees at 9 a.m. Then, as Barnes recounted in his letter, the boundary rushed back south of Spearfish, and the temperature bottomed out at -4 by 9:27 a.m. This time, the temperature had changed 58 degrees in under a half an hour. While Spearfish got the world record for fastest temperature change, and much of the glory for this event, the extreme temperature changes were felt across the entire region. L.M. Jones wrote that she was traveling to Rapid City shortly after the event. She said that everyone was talking about it everywhere she stopped. She wrote that in Lead, South Dakota, the temperature was 52 degrees, and at that same time it was -16 in Deadwood, South Dakota. These towns are just a couple of miles apart. In Lead, the 50-degree temperatures came in with a vengeance, like in Spearfish. The sudden rise caused windows to crack and break in the town. Rapid City also saw an extreme temperature change. Downtown warmed to 5 degrees by 9:20 a.m. By 9:40 a.m., it was 54. That's a rise of 49 degrees in just 20 minutes. As with any unusual weather event, the question always comes up as to how it occurred. We already know about the intense frontal boundary separating an Arctic blast from building Pacific warmth. However, there's always at least one ingredient that pushes weather events to becoming extreme weather events, and in this case, that ingredient was the chinook winds. Chinook winds basically occur when warm, moist air runs into the mountainous areas of the west, and this includes the Black Hills. The air works upward and cools at the high elevations and releases much of its moisture. The air becomes dry, which can heat much quicker than moist air. The drier air then shoots down the eastern slopes of the mountain and rapidly rewarms. The boundary was set up right over the Black Hills. Then the Chinook winds came up and over the mountains. Those winds allowed for the boundary to move much more rapidly and allow for accelerated warming. The boundary also increased the Chinook wind's power. So the boundary and the winds enhanced each other, leading to this extreme event. This event made waves in the news across the country. That was especially impressive considering the news at the time was completely dominated by the ongoing World War II. So there you have it. It's hard to imagine. Actually, it's impossible to imagine what such a dramatic temperature increase feels like in just 2 minutes unless you've experienced it. There's no comparisons or any way to have a sense of what it felt like. It's just incredible. Said that when he left his home in the morning, it was below zero. About halfway through his drive, his windshield flash frosted